Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, a topic that might feel a bit old school to some, the global commercial printers market.
Right. A lot of people probably assume it's shrinking.
Exactly. You'd think, digital world, everything's online. But the data, it tells a really surprising story.
It really does.
We're working with official figures here from Cognitive Market Research. It covers regional performance, country trends, right up to 2033.
Solid bit.
Our mission, to kind of cut through the noise, give you the important bits, the shortcut to being well-informed, and honestly, uncover some unexpected facts.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's unpack this. So starting with the big picture, the global view. This isn't an industry just treading water. It's actually thriving. Back in 2021, global sales revenue, just over $10 billion.
A solid base.
But here's the kicker. It's projected to climb nearly $11 billion by 2025. And then really picks up pace, hitting over $13 billion by 2033.
Wow.
That's a pretty consistent 2.3% compound annual growth rate, CAGR, over that whole time.
Yeah, 2.3%. It doesn't sound huge maybe, but year on year, globally.
It adds up significantly. So what does this initial global figure, signal to you about where commercial printing is today? Is it as counterintuitive as it sounds?
Oh, it absolutely is counterintuitive for many. And what's fascinating here is that sustained growth, it just flies in the face of the print is dead narrative.
Well,
this isn't some volatile spike. It's steady, predictable expansion projected over the next decade. It tells us there's a really strong, enduring demand for physical stuff.
Printed materials, yeah.
Across loads of different sectors.
Yeah.
And that demand isn't just holding steady, it's actually growing globally, which makes me wonder, are the reasons for this growth the same everywhere? Or are we seeing different things driving it in different regions?
That's a great question, that regional variation.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've got this surprising global upward trend. The next logical step is where? Where is this growth actually happening?
Let's break it down.
Let's peel back the layers. Look at the current powerhouses first. Where the bulk of the market is right now. Asia Pacific is the biggest by far.
Yep, leads power.
In 2021, generated over $4.1 billion. And it's set to grow to more than $5.2 billion by 2033. Expanding at about 2.2% annually.
Still growing steadily then.
Definitely. And within Asia Pacific, China, clearly leading the charge. Projected to go from around $1.5 billion up to nearly $2 billion.
A huge market.
And Japan, too, a really significant contribution.
Oh.
Their market is getting close to that $1 billion mark.
Right, so major economies still driving a lot of volume.
Exactly. Now let's hop across the Pacific. North America commanded about $2.25 billion in 2021.
Okay.
Expected to reach over $2.8 billion by 2033. That's nearly 2% annual growth.
Slightly slower than Asia Pacific overall, but still solid.
Solid, yeah. The U.S. is still the biggest slice of that pie, obviously, growing from about $1.6 billion to over $1.9 billion. But here's something interesting. Canada, it actually shows a noticeably higher growth rate. It goes from just under $500 million to over $640 million. That's a stronger 2.6% annual pace.
That is interesting. Wonder what's driving that specifically in Canada. Maybe specific industries?
Could be. Worth noting. And then there's Europe, just over $2 billion in 2021.
Okay.
Forecasted to hit over $2.5 billion by 2033. That's about 2.1% annual growth. So broadly similar to the other big regions.
Right. And the key players there?
Well, Germany is strong. Projected growth from nearly $470 million to over $625 million. And the UK shows particularly robust growth, actually.
Really? How much?
From about $405 million to over $560 million. That's nearly a 3% growth rate. Higher than the European average, higher even than Canada's rate.
Wow. Okay, so UK punching above its weight there in terms of growth.
Well,
yeah, what these figures really highlight is the continued importance of these big, established, mature markets. Even if their growth rates, overall are a bit lower than some of the emerging regions we'll talk about, their sheer size means they just hold huge market share.
Foundationally important.
Exactly. These are economies where commercial printing is like deeply embedded, business operations, consumer habits. It's all there.
Right.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, these foundational markets provide stability for the whole industry. The interesting contrast, though, like Canada growing faster within North America or the UK and Germany performing strongly in Europe, that suggests maybe localized demands or perhaps faster adaptation to new printing tech in those specific places. Specialized labels, security printing, maybe packaging, things like that.
That's a great point. Those specific applications driving growth differently in different mature markets. Okay, so we've covered the big players.
The established core.
Now let's shift focus. Let's talk about the real high-growth frontiers, the places showing really dynamic expansion.
Faster movers.
Africa, for instance, it really stands out, a key growth leader. Strong 4.1% annual growth rate.
That's significant, nearly double the global average.
It really is.
Yeah.
Nearly doubling its revenue. From just over $500 million in 2021, projected to hit over $1 billion by 2033.
Wow. Big jump.
Huge jump. And within Africa, Nigeria looks impressive, projected to almost double its market size. South Africa, too, showing similar strong growth.
Okay, major economies there powering ahead.
But what's even more notable, maybe the rest of Africa segment, encompassing potentially dynamic economies like Kenya, Ethiopia, Ghana.
Yeah.
That segment shows the highest growth on the continent, over 5.2% CAGR.
Over 5%. Okay, so it's not just the biggest players, it's broader growth.
Exactly. Broad-based.
Okay.
Now, the Middle East, also on a significant upward path.
Right.
Growing from about 590 million to over 830 million. That's a solid 3% annual growth.
Still well above the global average.
Yep. The UAE is a strong contributor there. Its market growing from just under 120 million to over 177 million.
Makes sense. A lot of development there.
And similar to Africa, look at the rest of the Middle East segment. Again, boasts this very high regional growth rate, over 5.1%.
Another 5% plus category. Interesting pattern.
It is, isn't it? And let's swing back to Asia Pacific for a moment. We touched on it, but India specifically.
Ah, yes, India. Knew that would be a big one.
A powerhouse of growth.
Yeah.
Moving from over 570 million to more than 820 million. That's a substantial 3.2% annual growth rate.
Strong and steady growth in a massive market.
Definitely. And just a couple of others showing high growth. Mexico, over 3.1% annual growth. And perhaps surprisingly, a category called Rest of Europe.
Rest of Europe. Higher growth.
Surging. Over 5.1% annual growth there, too.
Okay, that's fascinating. So Africa, Middle East, India, Mexico, parts of Europe, really dynamic growth outside the traditional centers. This raises an important question, though. Why? What factors might be driving this really accelerated growth in these, well, emerging markets in these rest of categories?
Good question. What do you think?
It's often, a mix of things. Rapid economic development is a big one.
Yeah.
Increasing industrialization, growing populations, often younger populations, too.
Right. Basic development drivers.
Exactly. As these regions develop, so does the demand for, well, things like product packaging. You have a growing consumer base. They need goods.
Need boxes, labels.
Precisely. New educational initiatives might need textbooks, materials. Expanding retail chains need point-of-sale stuff, flyers, catalogs.
Foundational printing needs.
It points to a print industry that's really adapting to those specific foundational needs of developing economies and the high growth in these rest of categories.
Yeah, the 5% ones.
It suggests it's not just one or two countries carrying the load. It indicates a broader, more diversified expansion happening within those geographic segments. It highlights significant untapped potential, expanding infrastructure across lots of smaller, but adding up to be powerful economies.
That makes perfect sense. It's not just the headline countries, it's widespread development needing print.
Okay.
So we hit the big players, the fast growers.
We've covered a lot of ground.
It's worth maybe just quickly touching on some other regional trends, some country nuances, just to round out the picture.
Sure.
South America, for instance, has a lower growth rate, about 1.6% annually. Revenue climbing from just over $500 million to over $620 million.
So slower growth there compared to others.
Yeah, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia are the main contributors.
Yeah.
But the rest of South America segment, it stayed relatively flat in the projections.
Okay, so different dynamic there compared to, say, Africa or the Middle East's rest of categories.
Exactly. And just to give everyone listening a real sense of the truly global reach and how varied the performance is.
It's definitely not monolithic.
Not at all. We see significant contributions from places like Italy, Russia, Spain, Switzerland in Europe, South Korea, Australia, Singapore in Asia Pacific.
Right, important markets.
Then you've got Turkey, Egypt, Qatar in the Middle East and Africa region. It really paints this worldwide picture of a market that's, well, far from uniform.
And synthesizing all these different growth rates, different market sizes, it becomes really clear. This is a global market, yes, but it's incredibly diverse. These different rates, they tell us a lot about market maturity, levels of economic development, specific local demands, all sorts of things.
Like the slower growth in South America you mentioned.
Right. That might indicate maybe a more mature market, or perhaps different economic factors are at play there. But it's really important to remember, even that slower growth contributes to the overall global expansion we talked about right at the start.
Every bit counts towards that 13 billion plus.
Exactly. Every segment, doesn't matter what its pace is, plays a part in hitting that projected 13 billion plus market by 2033. It's definitely not about digital just replacing print entirely. It's more like print finding its evolving niche, existing alongside, and sometimes supporting the digital world.
So let's try and wrap this up. What does this all mean for you listening in? What's the key takeaway from this deep dive? I think the core insight is, well, it's really powerful. The global commercial printers market is actually experiencing steady, consistent expansion, not shrinking.
That's the headline, yeah, steady growth.
We've got the established players, North America, Europe, China, Japan. They're holding on to their significant market share. It shows there's enduring demand for both traditional and evolving print applications there.
The bedrock.
And then we had the really dynamic emergence of Africa and India as key growth leaders. That signals new frontiers, rapid development, driven by their unique economic and consumer needs. It really paints this comprehensive picture. Growth that's actually quite balanced across different economic stages in different parts of the world.
Exactly. And the data, coming from cognitive market research, it gives a pretty clear and frankly optimistic outlook for the industry's path forward.
Yeah.
It definitely encourages us to think beyond just the screen in front of us, to consider the underlying forces driving this continued growth and what many might just dismiss as a very traditional industry.
True.
From, the feel of a high-quality brochure to the absolutely essential packaging on everyday goods. Print just continues to play this vital, indispensable role.
Absolutely. And that leads us nicely to a final thought, something for you to maybe mull over.
Go on.
In a world that seems to be going more and more digital, relentlessly so, what does the consistent projected growth of commercial printing actually tell us about the enduring value of physical media, of printed materials?
That's a great question to leave people with, maybe. Maybe it prompts you to explore examples of how innovative uses of commercial printing are adapting.
Like what?
Think about personalized marketing materials, specialized industrial printing, maybe 3D printing applications, or the huge boom in sustainable packaging solutions that's often print-related.
Good examples.
Or just consider how many different industries really rely on it, perhaps more than you might assume at first glance, far beyond just, books and newspapers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope you're now well-informed and maybe, just maybe, a little surprised by the vibrant, evolving world of commercial printing.